Pick my
Mm-hmm.
party and then we'll begin. Warrior Priest,
Well, you
Archmage,
start with the
Bright
dwarf.
Wizard. Which one?
Yes, both of them.
All
Okay,
dwarves.
Shadow Warrior, Ogre Iron Gut, and Witch Hunter.
That guy looks cool. You should take him.
One more guy.
I choose the. Uh, do the. There you go. Do the priest.
Okay, so I have like no real healing ability. Nice. We're doing this. All right, let's go. All right, shall we?
Hello and welcome to 87 Bus. This is Conversations on a Broken Couch. My name is Nathaniel Welch, and I am joined by Brandon and Scott. How you guys doing?
I'm doing lovely. Just so wonderful this week.
I'm doing better than terrible. It's a good day. Oh
Yeah.
my
Wow,
goodness.
that's a
Why
high
can't
bar.
I not
That's
why
a high
can't I
bar
get
for
my
sure.
lighting to work out? I just look like a shadow gremlin in my camera.
I feel like you and I are complete opposites right now.
Scott's
Brandon's just darkness
oversaturated.
and
and
There's
Scott's
like
just
too much light.
yeah, yeah. I'm curious, Brandon.
No,
Before we started, you said that
that's a little
Warhammer
bit. No,
Quest.
it's not.
This is the first one that you're playing. Is
Yes.
better than the second one, and that the second one isn't good. Can you inform us a little
So
bit?
the
'Cause
second
I'm
one,
curious.
the second Warhammer Quest takes place in the End Times event of Warhammer Fantasy, and most media or anything made during that time period in the fantasy is not as good.
Oh,
Just narratively, mechanically, it's kind of clunky and weird. It just and it I actually, in a weird way, it loses all of its charm, and I think it digresses and goes backwards visually too. Because they tried way too hard to take this concept and then modernize it.
that's interesting.
And
How
it's just, yeah,
far
it
apart
was
were
just,
they made?
I actually don't know. I know it was a few years, I think. That'd have to be a quick Google. I do not actually know.
Yeah, I'll do a quick
Yeah.
Google.
But yeah, this game's interesting. I figured give the viewers something fresh and new to watch that isn't World of Warcraft for once. And you can watch me be especially bad at this game, so it's fun.
We got to pick his party before we started. It's a good
That's
point.
true. These will be my primary party. I will periodically swap out certain individuals depending on missions, but this will be my main four for the duration of this recording.
Cool.
Anyways, Nate, how about you? Are there any games where the first game is just infinitely better than the sequel that you can think of, top of your head?
Oh man, um, that's I don't know, 'cause generally, uh, a sequel, like a second game, if the first game did good enough to where they're getting a second game, it improves on the first or changes stuff up enough to where if it's still positively received, then it's still interesting, even though it's much different. Like a great example would be Sly Cooper One. People generally consider Sly 2 to be a better game, but Sly 2 also changed stuff up a lot. The first one was a you have one hit point, um, kind of classic, almost time trial-y, arcadey platformer, with some open world elements and collection and all that kind of stuff. Um, and the story styles stayed the same, but the second game was totally different. It was open world, and even though mechanically some stuff was similar, like you could consider those two games to be so vastly different that even though the sequel would be considered an improvement, in most people's eyes, it's not necessarily totally just taking everything the first one had and improving. It's adding a lot to it, um, almost like changing the genre up a little bit. So there are some games like that, and then there are other times that the sequel just improves on stuff story wise or mechanically. Uh, and then if there's ever one that is worse, it'd be like the third game. because often it's hard to make trilogies. You make the first one, you go, let's improve, and then the third game, you're trying to make everything bigger and better or whatever, or there's time constraints or something. So, um, the only thing I can really immediately think of where the second game is worse than the first game, and I actually haven't played this. This is just public opinion. Would be the Force Unleashed 2.
Actually, I would think of Dark Souls.
I would
Okay,
agree with you.
yeah,
Dark Souls 2. Think about it.
that's a
Infamously.
generally, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know
It's
many other
interesting
games
because
besides.
I don't know if I would say it's. I think the word you used was infinitely better.
he,
I would probably not infinitely, but I think the first of the classic Battlefronts is better than the second one.
oh, for real?
I might have over exaggerated with the
It
infinitely
might just
part.
be nostalgia, but I tend to have a lot of fun with the first Battlefront. The second one's still fun. I still enjoy it. I play it all the time. Um, but I think I have more memories, more fun playing the first one. So yeah,
Yeah,
probably just a nostalgia thing. But
yeah.
How about you, Scott? Are there any other games of the same vein where it's like clearly the sequel is worse than the original?
I
Besides
I also
Battlefront,
went
like
down the
you
Sly
just said.
Cooper route, Nate, but I also came to the same conclusion, and I would agree that the second one was probably the best. And when they
Hmm.
did the third one, it kind of felt like a step back in some spots.
Yeah, and
Um,
like the
it was still
Force
fine,
Unleashed 2,
but
it was time. It was literally time.
yeah.
They only had 1 year to make the Force Unleashed 2, which they had 3 years
Hmm.
to make the original game. Uh, and then you've got Sly Cooper, and it was again like we got to get this game out right now. The same thing happened with Uncharted 3. It was they had such little time uh, to make that game.
Yeah.
Um, the funny thing about what you said though, Brandon, about Dark Souls is that Dark Souls 2 is actually better reviewed. It's high rated.
Then Dark Souls
Oh
1?
well.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually shocking to me because that's the one everyone just hates on. Like, without
Yeah,
fail. Everyone hates on Dark Souls 2.
yeah.
So, do you think they just hate on it for the memes then, at this point?
No, I think it's that you've probably heard it a bunch. There's that common criticism that or that thing you'll hear whenever a lot of people talk about Dark Souls 2 is they'll say if Dark Souls 1 didn't exist, if Dark
Yeah.
Souls then Dark Souls 2 would be an incredible game because it's still a good game. The idea is that though if it wasn't a Souls game, like if it wasn't being compared to Dark Souls 1 or to Demon Souls or now to Dark
Yeah.
Souls 3 or Bloodborne,
I think
you
I've actually used that quote myself
you would think, oh,
is
this game is incredible. And so I think it's one of those deals where fans were like, yeah, this is fans of the first one, and Demon Souls were like, yeah, this is fine, um, and critics obviously really liked it. The I think most of the complaints and I guess for lack of a better term, hate that the game gets comes from people that played it not when it first came out, post Demon Souls and Dark Souls, but after having played Dark Souls 3 or Bloodborne.
Oh,
I think for those
interesting.
people, transitioning to Dark Souls 2 is hard for them.
Dark Souls 2 was my first of the Souls games that I played.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, Nate, I've
I
literally
didn't I
said
didn't play
word
a
for
whole
word
lot of it.
almost what you just said, which is if the other Souls games didn't exist, Dark Souls 2 would be a masterpiece on its own.
Yeah,
I think I've literally used that. By itself, the game is a masterpiece. But because the other Souls games exist, you kind of run into that issue of like, well, my big brother, you know.
yeah, or my little brother. Yeah, it's
Uh,
interesting because it's one of those games that had to be made. Uh, like it was the stepping stone. Like we wouldn't have gotten Dark Souls 3 and all of the cool stuff in that game if Dark Souls 2 hadn't been
Yeah.
made because they learned a lot from Dark Souls 2.
Which is interesting because don't most people agree of the three Souls games, Dark Souls 3 is by far the best?
I don't know. I
I think
think
so,
I
but I don't
think
know
per
what court of
I think
public
so
opinion is on that.
personally, but I think public opinion is generally that Dark Souls 3 is the best boss fights. Um,
Oh yeah.
and that and then the first one is probably more, I guess, like iconic or well liked in or well known in the general public, and so it really just comes down to, do you prefer the more linear Dark Souls 3 or the more uh, or I guess the less handholdy Dark Souls? Yeah, I prefer the third one personally, but they're both
Interesting.
fun.
Yeah. I think the first
Uh,
one, my biggest issue with it was always just getting lost, not knowing where to go. Scott, I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's what happens when we're trying to do this online. Um, I was thinking of a couple other games that I would think the first is better than the second would be
Okay.
Zelda and Metroid.
Oh, the original?
Mm.
Yeah, I think Zelda 1 is a lot better than Zelda 2, and I think Metroid 1 is a lot better than Metroid 2. Um, but at least in Metroid, for Metroid, Metroid 2 was on the old Game Boy,
Mm-hmm.
so that was a little. I've played it. It's a little janky. It's hard to get around. It's hard to see things because you have black and white or black and gray. Yeah.
Grayscale.
Do you have
Um,
do you have
yeah.
black and yellow, black and yellow, black and yellow?
Absolutely.
You know what it
Um,
is.
and then I have played Zelda 2, and there are parts of it where it's just
Oh,
impossible to get
sorry.
through the game without a guide. Like there's
Really?
some things where, like I can't remember exactly,
Well, you got to remember
but I
that they
think there's
had
a
a guide
moment.
back then.
True,
It shipped
true. But
with
if
every
somebody were
game
to just
shipped
pick
with
it
a
up,
50-page manual. You know.
do you
Yeah.
remember when games used to come with the little booklets?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, those were
Yeah, they used to have
awesome,
like
man.
a book that told you everything in the
Yeah.
game. But I remember, like, with my friends when I was a kid, it was like a point of pride that you never opened it or read it because you didn't want spoilers on how the mechanics worked.
That's
So
funny.
we used to have challenges like, can you beat the game without reading the guide?
That's
I
funny.
used to read them for fun.
On the way home after buying the
Yeah.
game, you open
Yeah.
it and yeah. But Scott, what we
So,
had was not what people with the NES grew up with. I mean, they had an actual, like,
Correct.
oftentimes hardcover or at least like thick book
Crazy,
that
man.
that like the first Zelda is a great example. That has a map in it that you're supposed to
Does
use
it
while
really?
playing the game. Yeah, it has a map of the
That's
world.
so cool.
And that was the idea, is you open that, it tells you the story, and it tells you to right away to go into the cave and get the sword, and it tells you actually the plot behind that too, and then it gives you a map and says do the thing. um, and there's stuff in that book that is actually more spoilery walkthrough stuff. The same, I've actually looked at the old NES manual for Final Fantasy as well. It's similar. It goes, hey, here's some recommended, like, team comps you can do. Here's the
Oh,
story.
cool.
Here's how, like, here's what you should do at the start of the game. Go to Corneria, buy some weapons. Here's the plot. Okay.
for the very
Now,
first
if you
Final
go to the
Fantasy
Hold
rest
game,
of the
on.
book, now if you go to the rest of the book,
you're blowing Scott's mind right now.
you don't need to.
No. I just
You don't need to. Like, the rest of the book is spoiler stuff, so only go here if you get stuck. That kind of thing is usually what those said.
Yeah, that's cool.
is the castle at the beginning actually called Corneria,
It's called
like Star Fox?
Cornelia. It was but
Okay.
Corneria in the original was a bad translation.
Oh,
So
interesting.
starting
Wow.
with the PSP 20th anniversary, like, new localization. Since then, it's been Cornelia.
That was my first Final Fantasy game.
Yeah, probably mine too.
Really?
Hmm. Yeah, because
Yeah.
they
You know,
ported that version to the App Store, and that's where I
you
played
know,
Final Fantasy 1.
I bought Final Fantasy 1 through 4 on PC on Steam on Scott's
Mm.
recommendation, started playing them all, and I haven't played them in months, and I'm scared to go back to it now because I don't know where I left off.
Of those four, my favorite is the fourth one. I love Final Fantasy 4 so much.
Yeah, it
The other
definitely
three are
is.
pretty good.
The first one
The second
stepped it
one
up
is different.
narratively.
Yeah.
Yeah, they actually had a narrative to it that wasn't very difficult to follow. It was
Yeah.
nice.
The second one had a, yeah, four and two. actually have like plots,
Mhm.
and 1
One
and
and
3 are a lot more
I feel
bare
like
bones.
it feels like Final Fantasy 3 is they took everything that was great with one and they tried to like upgrade it a little bit.
Hmm.
And that's when I think that's when the job system
Yeah,
appeared, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
it's interesting you brought up Zelda 2. Zelda 2 was actually very well received in Japan. Um,
Oh,
not
I'm not
as
surprised.
much as Zelda 1, but like we're talking the difference between um, a 40 out of 40 and like a 38 out of 40. Like it was super
Yeah.
well received in Japan. It was actually what inspired Hironobu Sakaguchi when making Final Fantasy 2 to change up the
Wow.
game as much as he did, is because he had just made Final Fantasy 1, and the nature of every Final Fantasy game back then, which started with the first Final Fantasy, was they put all their cards on the table. They put everything on the table because it was like, this is the last game I'm ever going to make if this doesn't go successful. If this isn't successful, Square's been making too many games that are too low quality and are running low on money. This game has to succeed, all that kind of
Is
stuff.
that why they called it Final Fantasy?
They were going to call it Fighting Fantasy, but there was another game
Yeah.
that was taken. So they went with Final Fantasy and thought, well, oh, this also was kind of fitting. Um, so when making Final
Cool.
Fantasy, they had made the first one, and it was this super stressful few months of, this is finally happening. We got to make this, and it was super well received. Um, but then Square was like, great, we're gonna go from making uh, quanti- quantity over quality to making quality over quantity, and we want Final Fantasy to be like our main thing. So go ahead and make another game. And he's like, I'm exhausted. What do we do? Like we just worked our butt off and we got to do this again. And you're giving us more time, but this is crazy. And so he and some of the other leaders of the first game said, okay, we can either play it safe and basically just improve a little on what we did before, or we can take a risk like we did when making this game and try to massively um, just change stuff up and try to make a better game in general. And so
Hmm.
that's what they did. They got a writer who wrote out this whole huge plot, which I think eventually got released as a book. And
That's
they
Really?
awesome.
actually tried to have a story, and they changed up the mechanics to where you didn't start with jobs. You had all your characters were kind of blank slates, and the way you use them, their abilities would get better. So if this person gets hit a lot, they become the tank because you put them in the first place. This person keeps casting magic, their magic skill keeps getting better, that kind of thing. And that is actually what
And
led to the creation of the Saga franchises for Final Fantasy 3. They went back to the way Final Fantasy 1 worked, but the people who had designed the new battle system for FF2 went ahead and like made their own spin-off franchise for the Game Boy called Final Fantasy Legend or whatever. But they made FF2, which I think was actually better received in Japan than the first game was, even though FF2 is considered by most people on all the forums and stuff to be the worst mainline Final Fantasy game. Still a good fun game, right?
Interesting.
Um, and but it had a plot and those kind of things. But when making Final Fantasy 3, they wanted to take the best elements from both. So they decided, okay, in the first game you had jobs, but in the second game you had this freedom of how do you want to build your character. So let's make it so that you can switch between jobs instead of just have a starting one. And um, and they didn't focus on the story as much because they thought the evolution of gameplay was more important. Long story short, there was this one magazine that favored Dragon Quest, which was also a huge thing in Japan,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy's big rival, over Final Fantasy. And the the head of it got in a conversation with Hironobu Sakaguchi and was like, "Hey, dude, you need to focus on story more." And so he said, "Okay," and they made Final Fantasy 4. um,
There you go.
but yeah,
Wow.
basically 3 was the best of both
Nathaniel,
worlds from 1 and 2, and was
I can't
inspired
lie. The
by
most
2 was inspired by Zelda 2 and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
well, I like the idea of the blank character, the blank slate, and you just kind of build into what you want to be your playstyle.
Hmm.
That's awesome to me. But can I say the most impressive thing about that entire speech you just gave was the ability to say all of those Japanese names flawlessly.
Yeah, I think he only said one.
I don't know. The guy's name, you said it flawlessly every
Kirinobu
time. Unless you.
Sakaguchi. the god,
Wow.
the,
Alright,
the
well,
Oh
creator
my
of
officially
Final
god.
missed
Fantasy,
one
the
up.
father of Final Fantasy.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Yeah.
But
Dude, I
Final
wouldn't be able to
Fantasy
say
2
his
would
name.
probably be something that most people would say, oh, the first one was better, though I think it was still at release in Japan reviewed better. It's a Dark Souls 2 situation.
That's interesting. That makes me want to go play it now.
Final Fantasy 2? Scott, do you want to do a
Yeah.
Let's Play of Final Fantasy 2 with me? Later.
No, we wouldn't have the time to do it. my
It's a big game.
my amount of free time has recently
How about when I'm
gone
down there in
away.
June? How
We
about
could
when I'm
try
down
that,
there
yeah.
in June? We'll sit down at night, we'll record ourselves
Go
playing a
play
Final
all
Fantasy 2.
20 hours or whatever.
We could do that.
Yeah,
It's
a
got
20-hour session
Hey.
straight.
it's got the introduction of Sid. I think it also is where the first Dragoon
That was it.
was.
That's cool.
And Dark.
Final Fantasy 2, really?
Yeah, there was a character named I think like Richard Highwind or something.
Oh,
And so that's why every game after
Nice.
that, the Dragoons always had the name Highwind. That's why in Final Fantasy VII, Sid is named Sid
That's
Highwind is because
interesting.
he's the party Dragoon.
wow.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. The Dragoon is my favorite, man. It's my
Mhm.
favorite of all the Final Fantasy jobs.
Well, when you played the MMO Final Fantasy 14, right? You played Dragoon was your main?
I played Dragoon,
Yeah.
and I just started playing the game again with my wife.
Oh,
this
dude,
literally
that's
happened
cool.
yesterday, and I chose Lancer so I could be Dragoon
Yeah.
again.
Did you start over? You're starting from the beginning?
Yeah.
Are you on the same
We're
server?
playing as we are.
Okay.
We're on a Zalera, because Nathaniel and I, when we played Final Fantasy, we played on the server called Coral,
Mhm.
but Coral is congested now. It's too big.
Oh, wow.
Too many players?
So yeah, you can't even make new characters on
That's
the server
crazy.
anymore.
Wow. Why
But
is
yeah,
it so big?
The game, all
It's
the
a
WoW
popular
refugees,
game.
man. The game skyrocketed.
Yeah.
Which is really it's awesome for Final Fantasy, but it makes me sad for World of Warcraft.
yeah.
That term even exists. The WoW refugees.
Dude, that was a movement.
It
when
was
happened.
crazy.
That was crazy.
Whole subreddit
Dude, you
was
guys
filled
even
with
managed
that.
to steal Asmongold from us. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah. He came back. He still plays WoW.
Well, yeah, but he's not quite the same. Final Fantasy changed
No.
him for the softer, and I don't like
He
it.
a
played a
spider.
game that had a lot better quality of life.
Killed a
I
spider.
think my Nathaniel, you shouldn't kill spiders. You should let them outside so that they can kill the other insects for you.
It's too
That's
late.
their job.
He would have died in like a few hours anyway. We've got our house is heavily sprayed with all that kind of stuff, so he would have just dead.
Nathaniel just hates
Baylor would have eaten him.
insects.
Probably, yeah, actually.
Baylor would have eaten. Dude, Scott, I saw. Okay, did you know
Dogs are
cats
funny,
have
dude.
a faster reaction time than snakes?
Yes.
Dude, I saw a bunch of videos the other day of a cat and a snake hashing it out, man, and the cat was giving the snake the what for.
Yeah.
It was so
That's
cool.
one of the reasons I'm not worried about snakes in the house.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sue's pretty good. She's killed
Oh.
lizards already.
Oh, she's a
What was
murderer.
it? There are only murderer one. Oh, I'm pretty sure it died of a heart attack. Ugh.
Wait, what?
There are cats who will skin snakes alive, and just let them, kind of like leave them there so that they can die. Like cats are interesting when it comes to these things. They'll just play
Hold
with
up.
their victims. They'll
you
pop the
saying
legs off of
cats-
squirrels and let them crawl. I mean,
Cats are
they're
sadistic
insane.
like a chimpanzee, is what I'm hearing.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, by the way, for those who don't, by the way, to explain more how we got here, my brain heard dog eating spider and immediately thought of snake eating cat. That's what
Okay.
happened there, just so you all
Cat
know.
eating snake.
Cat eating
Yeah.
snake.
Wait, did I just do that backwards?
You said
Yeah,
snake
it's
eating
fine, it's
cat. Yeah.
That's what I meant. Oh, you know what I meant. Anyways, But that's how I got here, just so we're all on the same page. There's no real confusion. But yeah, no, dude, cats are freaking cool. I love cats
Yeah,
for
they
that
are.
reason.
Pound it.
Yeah.
All right, she's too tired. She's
Yeah.
sunbathing right now.
To be fair, cats sleep like 19 hours a day.
Yeah, she's most
It's
active at
insane.
night. It
That's
is
crazy.
insane.
Yeah,
Frustrating.
Wow.
that's about right. Cats are
Like having
active
a
at night.
child. Yeah,
We have
and
a cat
cool.
baby, Scott. That's a thing. I'm gonna start calling you Cat Daddy.
Please don't.
Oh.
an interesting
You don't need Grogu.
this is kind of an opinion, but I would say that back to our kind of sequel discussion, I would say that Sonic 2 is better than no, that Sonic 1 is better than Sonic 2.
That's
I
interesting
would
to
say
me.
that.
Let's not go up there.
Ooh, is that a hot take?
Yeah, Sonic 2
Uh,
is very well liked.
Ooh. Everybody, are there any hills we're willing to die on for this video game conversation we're having right now?
Sonic
Are
1
there
is
any
better
hills
than
to
Sonic
die
2.
on?
Sonic 2 is poor, punishing, unfun, unfair level design. It was one of my first games ever. I love the music. I love Tails. I think it's a cool game, but it is not fun in my opinion when I play it. I do not have fun with that game anymore. The first Sonic
I,
is infinitely more fun. It's incredibly well
dang.
designed. Labyrinth Zone, why do you hate that? That is great. That is a great level.
pretty.
I
Pretty
just full
true.
tilted Nate without trying. Right
There it
there.
is. That's my
Um,
hill.
Nathaniel, I
I,
don't think that's a hill to die on. I think well, maybe.
Sonic 1 is
Maybe
a
I
it's
mean,
better
not.
it's
game.
I
a hill to
agree
die
with
on.
you. I think Sonic 2 is kind of terrible, but I also think Sonic 1 is kind of terrible. Sonic 3 is my
Alright,
Sonic
favorite.
3 is great. no one's cool.
Nate,
No one's.
Sonic 3 is great.
Everyone can agree. Sonic 3 is great.
of the first three Spyro the Dragon games, Spyro 2 was substantially worse than Spyro 1. In my
um,
opinion. That's my hill I'll die on.
that's a lot of people would say that with the Reignited trilogy, but I think
I think the originals, because I played them when
with the
they were
originals,
originals.
most people said that 2 was the best. But
Nah. Too much backtracking. I hate that.
yeah, I get
You
that.
backtrack a lot. There's a lot of tedious, like, just really unnecessarily hidden stuff. Yeah, it's just not good.
They got rid of that for the
That's
third
my.
one. They like kept the scale of the second one, but without the backtracking, which I really liked. But I
And it
didn't
was
really care too much for
perfect.
playing as like the agents and stuff in the third one.
Oh, dude, the third one was
Kind of just
perfect. You know that
chill with
Homelander
playing as
meme?
Spyro.
Perfect. Down to the
Yeah.
very last detail. It's so good. That's my hill to die on. Anyone who wants to fight me. Spyro 2 sucks.
I haven't played Spyro.
Scott,
played
I want you to
Crash.
play Spyro with me.
You'd
All right.
I
probably
played Crash 3.
possibly
That
like
was it.
Crash Warped was alright. I played that on the original PlayStation. That's the one with like the levels, right? They go up
Mhm.
and you do a bunch of mini games to unlock stars so that you can
Yeah.
progress to the next platform.
My favorite levels was always the ones where you were riding the tiger.
Oh, dude,
Tiny?
I can't do this.
No, you had you were playing as Coco, and is that her name? That's
Coco.
the sister
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Oh.
And she would ride the tiger, and you'd have to do it on like top of the Great Wall or something.
On the Great Wall. So you were playing Temple Run, but Crash Bandicoot.
Basically, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yes.
I think
Dude, that's awesome.
Crash in the second game did that, but on a polar bear.
I'm jammed.
Really?
What?
I think so.
Wow.
But
You
it
know,
was
I've
a
always
tiger
wanted
in
to-
Crash 3. Yeah.
I've always wanted to ask these questions about early Nintendo and Sony games in general. What drugs were they taking? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
Mario was clearly on mushrooms.
dude, the stuff they thought up, I don't think I would ever like. I have an entire D&D world. I would never think of some of the stuff that these
True.
old games bring in.
Have you played
Like,
Conquer?
is that the squirrel with
Conquer's
a foul
bad
mouth?
for a day.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that game is not kid friendly.
That game
I've seen
is like
clips of it.
that. If I remember
I
correctly,
am
that
the
game
great
did a
and
lot
mighty
for
Pooh.
ESRB ratings. It's because a lot of parents bought
Yeah.
that game, and they were like, Seriously, you did. This looks like a kid friendly game. It's not kid friendly. We got my kid playing this, and I think
Yeah.
ESRB got a lot more strict, and the
Oh my
how box
gosh.
art had like what you could display on your box art had to change, which is why I think the Conquer remake was a lot more. The box art was a lot more edgy looking, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conquer's pretty metal.
Dude, I remember this. I'm about to show my age. Speaking of ESRB and things like that and censorship in video games, when I was like 8, one of the earliest GTA games came out,
Oh
and
man.
some lady tried to sue the people who made, shoot, which I think it was GTA 2 or 3. This is when it was still a top-down.
Okay,
Yeah.
She tried to
that's
sue
two
them.
then.
Probably be 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, she tried to sue them because her child broke into her car and then tried to steal it and drive away with it. And she said this top-down video game taught her kid how to drive a car and steal a car. And I'm just like, first of all, no. There's no logic to that at
Yep,
all.
that's how that works.
As an adult, I'm like, yes, that taught your kid how to use a clutch and drive it out of your driveway. Clearly, the top-down view where you don't even see the interior of the vehicle. Clearly, that's how that works. You're an idiot. You're a bad parent. Um, by the way, this is my hill to die on, a new one, an actual hill to die on that I feel very seriously about. If parents are angry at video games because of the content that's in them, you should be angry at yourself for allowing your child to purchase that game.
And for not having vetted it beforehand. Yeah.
Mhm.
You are the parent. It is not the company's job to censor what your child looks at. That is your job. You are the parent. Do your job.
You tell him, Brandon.
That's
Word.
my hill to die on today.
You
I
tell him.
found it.
Let's die on that hill together.
Nathaniel is dying on the Sonic 2 hill. I'm dying on the parents not sucking hill. Scott, we need to find your
Uh,
hill that you're dying on today.
I will find it throughout the rest of
Scott,
the
I'm
episode,
genuinely
probably.
curious. Do you actually think you actually prefer Metroid 1 over Metroid 2?
Yeah.
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 I
Yeah.
get why, but I think Metroid 2 is much more playable.
To be fair, nowadays I play Zero Mission
Mhm.
instead of Metroid 1, and I play Samus Returns over Metroid 2. And in that case, I would prefer Samus Returns. Um,
Oh,
to the uneducated, those are the remakes for
the
Metroids
remakes.
1 and 2.
Yeah.
I much prefer the remakes of Metroid 2 over
Mhm.
Metroid 1. But if I were to go back and play those old games, I like the color, and I like
Yeah.
they're both challenging games. They're hard. I think I just like the first one better.
Yeah.
The second
Are
one
they
was always hard
challenging,
for
or are
me
you
as
just a
kid.
weenie?
I might be just a weenie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Although I can't
I
really
think the second
talk
one
trash
is
to you about that because
Nate's
it's hard
the
to not have a
Metroid
map,
master.
but I think
Scott, I've
I
literally
just find it
watched
more
you
fun.
speed
So.
run Metroid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Metroid
Scott,
4.
you might be better than
I've been
I am.
playing that one since I was 4.
Oh no, I actually that's not a might. I think you are just like better at Metroid, the 2D Metroid than I am. But um, I think I've
You can
probably
have
played
Prime
more
then.
3D Metroid than
I
you
don't
have.
play Prime.
Yeah. You're not gonna try out
Yeah, he
Psychic
doesn't play
Samus?
Prime. It reminds him too
We'll
much
see.
of Amazon.
Hmm.
Sorry, that was a really dumb joke. I'll go sit in the corner now. Bye.
I don't know. We'll see when the Switch 2 comes out. If we get it, we'll see. I do like some of the new things.
It's gonna
with
be on the Switch
the
1.
new Switch. I know, but I mean, if I'm gonna play it, I want to play it
On
with
yeah,
the new features.
Yeah.
Because
the mouse.
it's cool. And I guess now that did the last episode come out and the Switch 2 thing happened?
Mm-hmm.
Was
It
that
had come out
before?
already. Actually,
So
it
we
might have
talked
been.
about how the
Let me check Twitter. I tweeted
okay.
the whole direct.
So
what
the
a
new Switch has a mouse mode now. You can lay your Joy Cons flat on the table, and you can use it as a mouse.
oh, that's
So
cool.
I'm excited to have like one Joy-Con as a control stick and all that in one hand, and the mouse on the other. And I know you can do that technically if you have like certain attachments for your PC, but being able to do that with the Nintendo system, That's kind of cool. I'm
Apparently,
excited to
it's
try
super
games
comfortable
using
too.
It's
that
super
stuff.
dope. Yeah,
I
Because
it's
bet.
super dope.
the Switch 2 is it's bigger. It's actually I have the OLED,
Hmm.
um, which I kind of wish I'd gotten an original Switch, just because the Joy-Con are too small for how much bigger the OLED screen is, and
Really.
it's kind of doesn't feel very sturdy. But the Switch 2 is bigger than this, and the Joy Cons are much
Hmm.
bigger. They like I think kind of fit your
Hallelujah.
hand a little more. So people say even like this that it kind of is comfortable as a mouse, but the Joy-Con 2 are even much more comfortable. So
Yeah.
um,
I'm
yeah,
excited.
yeah.
I'll probably play Metroid Prime 4. I haven't played. I've only played Metroid Prime.
Hunters.
I've played maybe 2 hours of Metroid Prime 1,
Hmm.
an hour of 3, and I got like halfway through Prime Hunters, but that was on the DS. That doesn't count.
I actually like that game. I beat it
Oh, it's
like
great.
twice or
It
something.
introduced the villain for this next
Yeah,
game, which is funny.
yeah. Funny for sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll get into
Uh,
some more Switch 2 talk next week. Do you guys have any more sequels or what's the word? Or
I
hills you want
have
to
one
die on
more.
before we jump on our topics?
I think of games. I don't agree with this, but I know that the
Hmm.
fan base as a whole disliked Sonic Riders 2 over Sonic Riders 1.
Yeah,
I loved Sonic Riders 2.
I did
Zero
too.
Gravity was my jam as a kid. I
Hmm.
beat that game many times. You and I just played that game just for fun all the
We
time.
played it a
That was
lot.
one of
Yeah,
our go-to
I prefer
games.
it as well. First one's cool, but
Mhm.
I prefer the second one.
I think the first one's hard. There's some
Yeah,
cool things that I really like about it.
yeah,
I like that whenever you go off a ramp, you're able to do tricks in the air like you're Tony Hawk. Um, they kind of took that away in the second game, which
yeah,
I get. That's a lot of stuff to cram into one game. But we
yeah.
only ever played it on the PlayStation 2. We never played it on the Wii, and I heard the Wii was the
We
worst
had the
version.
Wii version. We
Did we?
did.
No,
Hmm.
we had the PlayStation 2 version. We had 2 copies of it on the
Oh man.
PS2.
It's- No, I swear we also had the Wii version as well because the Wii version had a tutorial and the
The
PS2
tutorial was
version didn't.
also in the PS2 version.
Really?
It did.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, we just had two PS2 copies then. Yeah,
Yeah.
I got some good PS2
so
stories
We
so
for
wanted to
you.
get it on the Wii.
so Sonic Riders 1, I don't know if it still is. Well, I know it is still nowadays. It's got like it's small, but it's got a comp scene. It's got a competitive scene.
Yeah.
Which is why that first game had such a steep learning curve, is because it was actually like people did play Sonic Riders competitively. Um, they couldn't do that with the second one, which is why a lot of people got bummed. But the second one was made. They're like, okay, we made this game have too steep of a learning curve. We want this to appeal to casual players as well, which is what we were. We just wanted to chill and play a cool racing game that it has
Have epic music.
one of the best soundtracks of all time, and
Amen.
and some really cool pre-rendered cutscenes and the classic uh the classic Four Kids cast doing the voice acting, and it's just like I love that game. It's so great.
Oh my gosh. Jason Griffith as Sonic in
He's my
Shadow.
favorite.
It's
Yeah.
always he was the Shadow. He was just a good Shadow.
Mhm.
Um, but now there's Keanu Reeves. So
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves is now Shadow.
yeah,
It's hilarious. Yeah.
yeah. That's all I got.
Sweet.
Brandon?
All right. No, I said my piece. I was just
We good?
listening.
All right.
Honestly, listening to you. Sometimes listening to you two talk about things is just interesting to me. Because you
Yeah,
have a
let's talk
totally
about
different.
War and Peace.
Well, you guys have a totally different perspective on video games than I do growing up. Because you had a totally different like.
Yeah.
If video games are a perk tree, you guys went like this, and I went like this up the PC route. You know.
Yeah.
All I remember about growing up and playing games is that most of the games I grew up looking for, I wanted to make sure had some type of multiplayer because I liked playing with Nathaniel.
Yeah.
And there were very few games where we didn't play together. Like Sonic Colors, which did have a multiplayer.
Hmm.
We played a lot of Sonic growing up.
Yeah. But
Brandon,
we
you know
barely
this.
played the multiplayer even.
Yeah, dude, I've heard
No,
this. Scott,
what
when
we
you
would
We would
do.
just take turns.
Yeah.
Scott, when
Yeah.
you were younger, when you were like 8 years old,
Oh,
you had an
gosh.
entire book of
Yeah.
sketches and drawings you made of
Mhm.
Sonic, and that's all you did in your free time. You'd sit there with your book and you draw Sonic
You ready?
characters.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna make this even worse. I wasn't 8. I was 15.
that carried on until you were 15. Oh my
No, I
goodness.
didn't learn. I learned how to draw from drawing Sonic, and that started when I was 12. I was in
Was
middle
it?
school.
I thought you were
Yeah.
younger. Oh
Nope.
no, I feel
Yeah,
old.
it's worse. I still
Well, it's
have
not
that book
worse.
somewhere
It's
around
just
here.
that's kind of cool though. Like it's enduring.
Mhm.
You know, that just
Yeah.
shows how much you guys loved Sonic.
We do. And we still
Me on
do.
the other,
I still love Sonic for sure,
Yeah.
but man,
see me on the other hand,
it's a struggle.
I'm like 8 years old, getting into Warhammer and playing
Yeah.
World of Warcraft. So it's totally
Very different.
worlds here.
Two very different worlds. Yeah.
It's like you guys are like, look at this blue hedgehog run fast, and meanwhile I'm sitting here like, run the heretic. Like what?
You would have liked Shadow the Hedgehog then.
Dude,
Yeah.
I honestly don't mind the. I haven't played the game, but I've seen cutscenes. I've seen stuff. I seriously don't mind the edgy direction they went. I really
Yeah,
don't.
I have played it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's fun.
When you say edgy, like, is it unnecessarily edgy for
Yeah,
no reason?
dude. Shadow
Yes.
What?
Shadow uses guns and he swears.
Yeah.
A kids game?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let me tell you let me tell you the
motorcycles,
best line from that
shoots
game.
missiles,
The best
That's
line from that game.
aliens.
I love it.
Here's
That's so dumb.
the best line from Shadow the Hedgehog. This is gonna be like taking candy from a baby, which is fine by me.
He just decided arbitrarily.
Rated T.
It was rated T. Oh,
Yeah,
so
it
it's
was
okay.
on. Was it
Yeah.
Xbox and GameCube? I don't know
And
if it was on
PlayStation too.
PlayStation. Okay.
It was.
Yeah.
We had the we would what was it? There was a game we would rent. No, I think it was on the back of it might have been Sonic Riders 1. On the back of the instruction manual was an ad for Shadow the Hedgehog.
That makes sense. The years add up. Yeah, they were both 06.
Yeah.
No, not 06. Both
05.
05. Yeah.
The years don't stop coming, do they?
06 was when Sonic 06 came out.
Oh yeah. What's it called?
There were
Shadow
some
the
real
Hedgehog
stinker Sonic games.
Has the
Oh, yeah.
best the best Sonic song ever made though is the main theme of that game. I'm All of Me. I love that song.
Really?
That is my favorite.
Wow. Oh man, I think my favorite is "Open Your Heart" from Sonic Adventure 1, or "What I'm
Oh my
Made
goodness.
of" from Sonic
Oh,
Heroes.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Brandon, we got to introduce you to Crush 40. You would actually genuinely like their
Crush
music.
40, man.
You would genuinely
Nate,
like their
you've
music.
literally at church, you have gone up to me and been like, "Listen to this. It's Crush 40," and then I've listened to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, I know what Crush 40
Yeah.
is. You've shown me.
Good. They're great,
good.
dude. I love their stuff. All right, we
So-
ready for topics?
Let's do it.
Who wants to go first?
Brandon, do you want to go first?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, let's get yours out of the way, man. This is
All
fun.
right. All right, ladies and germs. As the smoothest transition in all of podcasting history, let me tell
That's
you.
right.
Also, in the greatest transition of mood ever, my conversation point I want to bring up this week is, at your funeral, what 5 songs do you want played?
Oh boy,
If one of you doesn't say something Crush 40, I will be disappointed now.
I have no Crush 40.
I don't either, but I actually could. I'd be totally. I love Live Life. That's a great song. I could totally.
Just heavy
Oh,
metal
man.
drums at
Live
your
and
funeral.
learn.
Live Life is actually not heavy metal. It's like sweet violins and
I don't know.
it's wonderful.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Black Knight.
Yeah.
I know of 3 right now. I'd have to really think about it, but
What are your 3?
It was your
3
question.
so far. So Yeah. So far, well, I wrote this question on my phone like earlier in the week, last week, and I just genuinely couldn't think of more than three, and I'm trying to figure out what the last two are. But the first three are simple. I want at some point "Don't Worry, Be Happy" to be played. That has to be a thing. Bobby McFerrin. I want the music video with Robin Williams up on a screen so you can just see Robin Williams being an idiot in the music video. It's awesome. I want people to giggle a little bit at my funeral. It'd be good. I want "Lean on Me" from Bill Withers, just because it's a beautiful song and I love that song. And then I want "One More Light" from Linkin Park to play. And that's like the one song people are allowed to genuinely just cry at. So far, that's
Cool.
what I got. I got to think of
All
two
right.
more. I'm thinking maybe a VeggieTales song for fun. Like, I'm not kidding.
Cheeseburger.
Unironically, I might have like the thankful song from Madame Blueberry. Thank you,
Oh
God,
man,
for this day, yeah. Genuinely, that song
that's
slaps.
awesome.
So now I gotta think of one more, huh?
All right, Nate, or do you want to go, or I can go?
I can
I have a
if
list.
if you're ready, then go
actually.
for it, dude.
Okay, so when you posted this question in our little group chat earlier, the first song, like immediately, the first song that popped in my mind was "Simple Man" by Leonard Skinner.
Oh
Um,
yes!
yeah,
It's simple. Oh man, I am so happy
yeah.
you said that because that's an amazing song.
And then my second one, this is ridiculous. "Echoes" by Pink Floyd.
Really?
Um,
Echoes
it is
by
a
Pink Floyd.
21-minute song. Here's the thing. It would be terrible to play at a funeral because for like 10 minutes the entire song, it only has like maybe two verses
Yeah.
or like it has one section at the 6-minute mark when it actually starts having some words in it. And it's kind of whimsical, not really whimsical. It's I listen to this song and it reminds me of Cthulhu.
Oh dang.
um yeah, it's just kind of like this is eerie and creepy, and it's got like a section in the middle, like a 3-minute stretch of just no music, just sounds. um like I'll send it to you guys later so you can listen to it. It's weird. I don't know why I want this played at my funeral. I don't know where you would play it. Probably just to creep people out. uh
You do it during the open casket part. They open the
um
casket, and when they think all the music's done,
maybe
you just
I
like it
think the
starts playing.
I'd want the is it called The Last Goodbye from the third
Oh,
Hobbit movie?
that's a great song by Billy Boyd.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Billy Boyd and
Dude.
what are they called? He's got a band.
I don't know.
See,
Something.
now
That
I'm
one.
having this issue
Yeah.
where I'm
Suki,
thinking, man, did I
vacuum
pick
cleaner.
good enough songs?
And then probably the other one that he sings in Return of the King.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That one's a little interesting.
Talking about
Well, I have to look. I have to listen to the words again.
like during the
That
movie,
might be.
you mean?
That might be okay. Yeah.
The Edge of Night.
Da, 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 da. Yeah. Da, da,
The world ahead,
da,
and there are many
That is a really,
paths
really
to
good song, to be
tread.
fair.
Yeah,
You
I do like that one.
shadow to the edge of night until the stars are
Yeah.
all like mist and shadow, cloud and shade. None shall fade.
Oh,
Yeah,
I got my fifth
great
song.
song. There you go. Those are the words.
Wow.
For my funeral, because I want people to laugh. I'm gonna play Diggy Diggy Hole for my sixth.
Yes, let's go.
That's my final song. I am a dwarf and I'm digging a hole. Diggy Diggy Hole.
hole.
Absolutely
Um,
does not match my personality in any way, shape, or form. But I want people to laugh, so that's why I want it.
and then like I said, I have a small list because I'm not sure. I don't know what kind of tastes or music I'm gonna like. Um, by the time I do have a funeral,
Oh yeah,
there's a
that's like
couple
50
songs
years
from
from now.
hopefully there's a couple songs from Nobuo Uematsu, the Final
Ooh.
Fantasy guy. He did not. There's one called Not Alone. I don't know which Final Fantasy it's from. And then Zephyr Winds, which is from Final Fantasy 3.
3, yeah.
I like those two
So I
songs.
think Not Alone is from 9, right? I'll look it up.
It might be.
Yeah, it's Final Fantasy 9.
Oh, cool. Great. And then I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of other songs that I'd probably be okay with. Not necessarily things with words, but like there's some tracks from Stellaris that I just love so much.
You're just like, put that at my
Um,
funeral.
Yeah, there you go. There's
Yeah.
a soundtrack. Just play Stellaris.
I can't lie,
Cue the
Scott.
picture reel.
Can we both have Simple Man for our 5th, unironically?
Dude, let's go.
I forgot about this song.
Simple Man's good. Ugh.
Okay. Nate, just real quick. After your 5, I have, I guess, a mini game idea for this conversation. Just as an extra
Okay.
thought when you're done, whenever you're done picking your 5.
Okay. So yeah, my funeral, it's not gonna be a funeral, it's gonna be a memorial. I'm gonna be cremated. Probably would love to be like sprinkled over some mountains in Alaska or something, right? Out of a plane.
I
That'd
want
be
to be
awesome.
to a firework.
But yeah, my memorial is gonna be a church service. That's exactly what it's gonna be. It's gonna be, we're gonna get people there and we're gonna praise the Lord and all that
You're not
stuff.
gonna do anything.
And so I'll totally.
They're gonna be praising the Lord, and his coffin's just gonna start shaking.
So
He's gonna raise up the Christian Undertaker.
so totally of the songs I want I Will Rise. That's a song by Chris Tomlin. It was sung at our
Yeah.
Scott and I's grandfather's memorial. I love that song. Great Is Thy Faithfulness, good song. Beulah Land, specifically Casting Crowns version. That's great. How Great Is Our God. And then probably like an All the Poor and Powerless or Forever Rain type song. Just yeah, it's just gonna be a church service. Yeah. So I'm gonna just have
Great way to get people
church
in the
music,
door.
for sure. Yeah. That being said, if Live Life would be a cool song from
Yeah.
Crush 40, that'd be a great song to play. Although I'm not going to. That'd be cool.
All right, so here's my idea. Are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Scott, you may replace one song from mine and one song from Nathaniel's list that you believe suits our personality better. Nate, you can do the same if you choose.
Simple Man. With Simple Man.
Now the question is the Leonard Skinner version or the remake done by a group called Shinedown?
Leonard Skinner. It's my favorite.
The original?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Actually, I think the one I've been listening to is when he did it again. It might have been.
He did 2 times?
Like a remake or whatever, or just like doing it again, just to put in another album.
Oh,
No, never mind.
gotcha.
Never mind. I'm looking at the original.
Oh, Scott, you could have that the Bulma song from what is it, the credits song from Dragon Ball. You could have that.
Yeah.
You,
Oh, yo, let's go!
That's actually a cool song. I don't know the words,
I hope this video doesn't get flagged because of our amazing singing
but
voices.
amazing.
You might get us flagged. I definitely will not. For my memorial, we're gonna play the Mission Impossible theme, and I'm gonna leave the urn of my ashes in the middle of the room. And when the theme comes on, you two have to run a heist and try and steal my ashes from the middle of the room.
Well, Scott and I at like 104 and 99 respectively are gonna have to steal your ashes.
Tell me that wouldn't be fun. Just a couple geriatric old dudes acting the fool.
When I die, I want to be put into a firework. And when it blows up, I want it to say, I told you I'd go out with a bang.
Oh, dang it.
You don't want like
I want
a
to be late to my own
like a
funeral.
Jedi Knight. Just have a Jedi
Oh my
Knight
gosh,
funeral
that would
or
be
something.
so cool.
Probably stink.
In the woods, like Darth Vader.
Uh-oh, stinky.
All right,
Yeet. Okay, I'm
should
done.
we move
Sorry.
on?
Yeah, yeah. Do you want
I'm
to
ready to
go
move
next,
on.
Scott, or do you
All
want me
right,
to?
I can go next. That's fine.
All right.
Um, hey, I wanted to talk about your guys' favorite and least favorite. We'll start with favorite, unless you guys want to start with least favorite. Storytelling tropes. So this can be in
Mm.
games, books, any kind of media, any kind of narrative.
Favorite storytelling
Um,
trope?
yeah.
So,
So my immediate thought with this, the reason I brought
you,
this up was
I'm
because
gonna
I was
find
thinking of
another hill to
Brandon.
die on with this conversation.
Bring it on, Brandon. You know what I'm gonna say.
Is it the World of Warcraft, you're the chosen one every
Yeah.
single time thing? I
Yep.
hate that so
Exactly.
much.
Uh huh.
We're starting with
Bring it. Go
favorites.
You
We're
for it.
starting with favorites.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's what you said.
So,
You said
hey,
we're
one of
starting
my
with favorites.
favorites
Let's do
is The
that.
Chosen One.
I hate it.
I like being the special guy. I like it when everybody goes, "Oh, you're the guy that's here to save us." That's why I like Monster Hunter so much. Oh, the hunter, the guy whose job it is to go and kill these things.
That's a
Can
little
I
different.
can I maybe
Uh, uh,
amend
that's good.
so we understand my stance on this? I think it
Yeah.
works in a single player game,
Mhm.
but in an
Mhm.
MMORPG with a
Oh,
million
it's
other people
atrocious.
who are also the chosen one, it's the dumbest narrative possible.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
It's like, how can you say, "All right, we're gonna go get all of your friends, also the
You're the
Warriors of Light"?
legendary hero who's coincidentally done this thing that only the legendary can hero do 15 times in a row. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
I
talk about our favorite.
I
My
really
favorite.
like just the simple concept of the hero's journey. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Having that be I think it works. It's you know so widely used for a reason. So uh, yeah, I think that's a um, really good trope. It's one of my favorites. I'm trying to think of some others.
Can I tell you my favorite? I don't know if this is a trope, but my favorite style of narrative,
Go for it.
for me personally, and I try to reflect this in all my D&D games, is I love the idea of you start as one of many. You're just
Yeah.
one of 1,000 people, and you become heroic not because it's some preordained destiny or because you're the chosen hero and no one else can do it. You become the hero because you break the all archetypes. You go against the grain and you do what's right and you work your way to becoming the hero.
Yeah.
That's what I love. Is the idea of I chose this life for myself. I worked hard to become this hero. I may not be the only dude in the world who can defeat the epic necromancer or whatever, but darn it, I'm gonna try because I'm a hero. I
That's pretty
love
cool.
that.
Yeah.
That's my favorite trope.
I actually do enjoy, at least when it comes to your D&D games, I really enjoy that too. I love just being a nobody, bro. That's my chair. Let's not scratch that, okay? Um, I enjoy that. I like being the grunt and having to grow into the general. You know, that's cool, um, because that
Yeah.
means that I've worked for it. What in the world?
When you become the hero, it feels so much better. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's what made that's what used to make. I'm gonna beat the dead horse. That's what used to make World of Warcraft so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what Classic was. You're just a dude. You can choose to do whatever you want, and you work your way up to becoming a mighty hero who defeats Ragnaros. You know, you're one of many. I love
So
it.
good.
It's so good.
Now that being said, like I was saying, I like the chosen one concept. I think it's cool. I do think it can be overdone, and some there are times when I don't like it. Like I think that it can have flavors. You can have flavors of chosen ones,
Hmm.
and some of it's really nice. Other parts, not so much. But I
I
also like
like
things that
it
are kind of akin to it.
when it's not an excuse for like poor
Yeah,
writing.
Hmm.
That's I'm trying to think of a better way to say it, but like if you're going, okay, we don't need to explain why A, B, and C happened, and just say it was all fate or it was the chosen one, like uh,
That's awful.
that's a little can be sometimes I find that just to be lazy.
They do have a moment in that in the newest God of War, um, that I find really interesting because the idea of the fated, this is the fated thing to happen. You can't break your fate or your destiny. I think that's a trope that is, it's been done quite a bit. But
Hmm.
the newest God of War handles that pretty well in the idea of changing your fate or changing your destiny. And um, so I like those kind of tropes too. I also like really silly things. Like you always have to have the one silly guy in a group. Like I get that. That's
Hmm.
cool. You know, that's the thing. Oh boy, I feel like we could pull up it's tvtropes.com or something, and it's got like all the tropes and like a whole bunch, like all media or whatever. Um, I might pull that up actually just so we can run through some of the simple ones. But um, yeah, some of my favorite stuff is I like having funny characters, but also not funny. Like you were saying, funny to excuse, to make the narrative. How do I say this? Marvel. I don't like how Marvel handles humor, but
They
Yeah.
there are
handle it
some other
really well.
things that there are some things
They
that
don't
handle humor
anymore.
really nice.
I think
Um,
with Marvel, what bothers me with their humor is they shoehorn it in constantly and everywhere.
yeah, if the
And it's
writing
like,
struggles because of the humor, it doesn't work
Yeah.
on me. But
It
if
really
some of it
seems
works
like on
because
a
of the humor, I'm down
director
for it.
base too. Like I would say James
Hmm.
Gunn with the three Guardians movies balanced humor and making it natural, but still like having it there perfectly,
Yeah.
yeah.
as compared to like Thor 4, which
Yeah. Or
honestly
it's like you
it's
take.
literally just a comedy, and if you know that
Hmm.
going into it, oh man, you can enjoy
I
it.
mean,
But
it's
if you
good.
don't know that, it can
My
feel a
my
little
thing is
odd.
this though, like it's very easy for humor to just kind of go out of control and them to overdo it, you know?
Yeah.
Again, with Thor, I think with Thor 4, there was a lot of genuine like, yeah, this is a comedy, it's a good movie, but also then there's a moment where Thor's in this serious situation getting ready to fight a big dude. Why are we cracking jokes? This is supposed to be like the one serious point.
Yeah, it's different if he's like Tony Stark, and that's part of the character, and that's telling you something about the character. And you know what
Yeah.
is when he stops cracking jokes. When Iron Man stops cracking jokes, you know he's really serious, and it's just a
Uh-huh.
big
Yeah,
deal, right?
correct.
Uh,
That's what makes Tony Stark such a compelling hero. Is he doesn't act like a hero all the time, but when he chooses to be serious, he's so good.
mhm.
Yeah. Do you guys have any like tropes or maybe cliches?
Yeah,
Do you have any
two of my
cliches that
favorites.
you find fun?
Um, two of my favorites, other favorites that I was thinking of. One is I really like it when storytelling is told, uh, in is told through the way someone looks. Um, when like the way someone's designed or their clothes they're wearing is intentionally meant to reference plot or teach you something about the character rather than just be, oh, they look cool. Like a great example of this is there's this one scene in the first Spider-Man. Um, it's the like Thanksgiving dinner scene right after Spider-Man and the Green Goblin fight. Peter has to go and change into his clothes. Norman has to get out of his Green Goblin state,
Yeah.
and they go and they meet and have dinner. And it's hilarious because um, I saw a video of someone analyzing it, and this is exactly how Sam Raimi does like a lot of his movies. But he's like, okay, you have Peter is dressed in green because he's thinking about the Green Goblin right now. Norman has red because he's thinking about Spider-Man, and Mary Jane is in blue because that's the color Peter's normally in. And she's having troubles with Harry and is wishing he was more like Peter. It's stuff like that. Or a great example, another one that I really think of more recently because I'm in the midst of writing this, what's going to be like an hour-long script for Final Fantasy VII. Um, is for my review of that game is Aerith and Sephiroth have similar hair, some other similar
Mhm.
things going on. They're meant to kind of contrast and relate to each other a little bit as both the villain and the heroine. But then also Cloud is, rather than look similar, is supposed to be the complete opposite, where Sephiroth is sleek, Cloud is bulky, where Sephiroth is clean, Cloud's hair is spiky, where Sephiroth has got this thin, precise sword. Cloud's got this huge chunk of metal. It's this, and it's meant to tell you something about the characters. I love stuff like that. I love when design goes further, and when wardrobe, and with even dialogue choices and the way someone decides to say something. I love it when it goes further than just this is cool, but it is actually informing you something about the character. And in The Force Unleashed, there are lines that Sam Witwer delivers with this very almost like English imperial prim and proper tone because he's talking to his master or he's talking to authority. But when he's just
Yeah.
talking with Proxy or Juno, it's just like Han Solo throwing lines out there because it's teaching you something about the character. It's teaching you something about the way they act about around certain people and this kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that.
Actually, on the same note of The Force Unleashed, something I loved about that game that Witwer, is it Witwer or
Yep.
Whitmer?
Witwer.
Something
Whitworth.
he pointed out when he was doing an interview is when he got called in to cast for the character, he was supposed to um, do the meditation scene. And so they're like, "Oh yeah, he's meditating on his
Oh, I love
lightsaber and
this.
he's a Jedi and all that." And Sam Witwer goes, "No, he doesn't know how to meditate. He's a Sith. He's trying to force it together." And then he was just like the best possible
Yeah.
option for Starkiller, by the way.
I
But
think he said it's not something Vader would have taught him.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. And
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool.
he talks about it
and it
in
translated directly into the game. Yeah.
the dev commentary. He went in to shoot for the character and was like, while acting out the scene, was super duper tense. And the writer of the game, Hayden Blackman, asked him like, "Why are you so tense?" And he goes, "Well, cause he's not a Jedi. He doesn't know how to meditate." And basically, that's when everyone was like, "We just need to hire this guy because he knows what he's talking about." Another storytelling trope I really like is the unreliable
Almost
narrator.
said a Charlie horse.
Oh yeah. There
You
you
got
go.
to do it really well, but a game that does that really well is Final Fantasy VII, where there's multiple cases of you don't know who you can trust because you got the main character who's got this
Mhm.
who's got PTSD and this fractured memory, and then you've got someone connected to his backstory that most of the time is encouraging and going along with what the one person says, but then there's a time where you've got these three different people all saying different things and none of them are right. Unreliable narrator can be very interesting because you, as the player or as the one watching the movie, tend to go, okay, this is the main character who I've been with who's actually narrating. I can trust them.
Until
And
you
when
can't.
that's not the case, it's odd.
Nate, can I ask a quick question about Final Fantasy VII?
Yes.
Who did you do the gold saucer date with?
I got Tifa.
Ooh.
You got Tifa?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I
I
have
know
not played
it's
Final Fantasy
Okay.
VII.
Gotcha.
I know it's I didn't like rig it or anything. I know
Yeah. It's
Aerith
just
is
be nice to Tifa. Tifa.
yeah. Yeah, I know Aerith is the one who it's the easiest to get, which if I
Yeah.
have if what I'm from what I've read, if it's correct, is
There's like a
basically
point
that's because
system.
they wanted to make the big thing that happened that happens in Final Fantasy VII that I'm not going to say just in case you don't know it. I mean, everyone knows it, but if you don't know it and you haven't played that game, I'm
In
not going to say what happens.
6
Just
years.
because it's an incredible game, and if someone can play that game without knowing, then that is the
Yeah.
most incredible gift I could ever give anyone. But
That'd be
the
me. I
the
haven't played
idea
it, so I don't know.
is the one thing the big thing that happens. The reason they made Aerith the easiest to get is because they wanted to make that moment more impactful, pretty much.
Mm.
But then there's people all over the internet go like, which is canon, which is canon, which data is canon. I have no idea.
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it matters. I've
I
read
think
some
the
stuff.
fact that there's an
but
This is
extra scene
canon.
you can get with Tifa before the final fight makes her date a little bit more canon, but at the same time, it's like,
I got that
it doesn't
scene.
change anything. You got, yeah.
I got that scene.
It's an awkward scene.
Yeah. There's some stuff about that the devs have that I've read from interviews and stuff where they've said like Tifa as the character was made for Cloud.
Yeah.
And they obviously end up together like post game with Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus. So yeah, I think it's pretty clear which. I think there's some stuff out there that I think would say that like that's the canon ship or whatever, but I also
I don't
don't.
even think
Did
it's a
you
ship,
use
I
the
just
term
think it really
ship
matters.
unironically? I'm shipping these
Listen,
two
man,
characters.
well that's the thing is I don't think it's a ship. I think it's to
just
my
a
brain
mix.
and it just makes the most sense. But people will, when you've got options, people will say whatever they
Yeah.
want, right?
It's a
That's
ship.
fine, I guess.
You're
All right.
right, yeah.
Do we want to
what
move
were you
on to
wanting to
least
say?
favorites?
Yeah.
I don't think I need to say my least favorite. I think everyone got a pretty clear idea with my
Okay.
giant child outburst.
Well, I'm gonna start then. One of my least favorite tropes is I'm gonna try and say that I hope you don't have to like edit this in any way, Nate. I like when you have female protagonists who don't need um, extra writing to make them seem competent, or writing
Yes.
that's too how do I say this? I'm bad with words, everybody. Um,
You don't like it when they try too hard to make female characters actually competent.
yeah, I for one, I feel like it's not that hard to
It's
write
not.
a female character. Um, this is coming from a guy with no experience. Hey, I think if you want to write a female character, stop thinking about character archetypes as gender oriented. Just write a character. Don't worry about
Yeah.
what gender they are.
I don't think it's that hard. I think you just make a good
Yeah.
character.
But there's a lot of writing out there where they try to make the character. It's like most of their identity is based on what gender they are, and it kind of ruins
Yeah.
the character in a way because why
Well,
does
because
that
they're
matter?
trying way too hard to lean
Yeah.
into this identity of entirely based on what's dangling between their legs,
Right.
right? And it's
Um,
just not accurate to real life either. Like nobody in real life, well, I can't say nobody, that's not true. The majority of people I've met in real life don't care what gender you are. And I would assume that extends to fiction, right?
one would think.
They care about the merit of your character as an individual. So why in the
Yeah.
world would I care about a fictitious, like, I don't care about your real life gender as long as you're a decent person. So why would I care about this fictional character's gender, let alone that being their entire personality?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Well said, Scott.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
I know a lot of people get hung up on that with a few of the female characters in the Star Wars sequels, and they always
Yeah.
point to like Princess Leia and Ahsoka Tano and Padme, and are
Those
like,
are excellent,
these are
strong
great
female
written
characters.
female characters, and then you've got these in
Yeah.
the sequels, and I don't know that I necessarily feel any which way about the ones in the sequels, but I think I do get where others are coming from, and actually, I would say with the sequels, it does feel like at times they try a little too hard to make uh some of the characters like be cool,
Yeah.
and they
I,
and they like only succeed and don't necessarily struggle a lot, and
mhm, I agree.
that's just not very compelling. I just want good written characters. It doesn't need to be
Yeah.
Sometimes people are just people.
it. Yeah, it doesn't
Shocking, I know,
need to
but
be any which way. I
There's
mean, just
so um my wife and I, we like to watch Arcane. Arcane has really well written characters. It has a lot of really well written female characters because they write the characters as their archetypes without, without caring what
hmm
the gender is. One of the main characters, um, she kind of has that. Those the like muscle type character, like I'm trying to fix everything and I'm trying to hold everything together because I have to be the strong protector kind of
yeah,
person.
yeah,
And you look at her and you look at the way that she's designed, you look at the way she acts, the kind of way that she fights or she holds herself, and it's like clearly she's like a brawler, and this is what she's good at. She spends 90% of the show getting her butt kicked.
as
I
most
kind of like
melee
that.
brawlers do.
Well, yeah, I kind of like that. It says a lot about a character how they try to act one way, and then you find out, oh, they're just like everybody else. They're not like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just a person.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
It's a bit of subverting expectations, and she loses a lot, and not just like physical battles, but a lot of relationship battles, and it shows a lot about that kind of person, the kind of character she is, how she tries to put up this front, but once she gets beaten down, you get to see like this is who she really is. This is how she really thinks. Um, that's cool. That's a great way to write a character.
yeah. It's
I've seen a
crazy
lot
though.
of characters written on both sides, male and female, that have been written the exact same way, and it works. You don't need to have any like padding to them to make them
Yeah,
look cool or feel awesome. It's like, no, that's a cool character. It's one of my favorite characters in media,
yeah.
and she doesn't need to be like, I don't know. I'm trying not to. I'm trying not to say the wrong word, or
The wrong.
trying to find my word for this.
Yeah.
It's I don't. I'm not
You're
good with
trying
language,
to
people.
you're
Nathaniel
trying to
over here is the
speak
reviewer.
clearly and
He's got all the
intentionally.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I say the things, and you guys translate for me.
A new app
I
coming to
just
your
speak
phone. Scott
Scottonese.
Translate.
That's all.
Yeah.
I just speak Scottonese. That's all.
I.
Thanks.
It's interesting that like two of the uh two well written female characters that immediately come to mind for me. Like they do that very same thing. They subvert expectations, um and it's literally like what you're saying at the core of it. It's that this is just a well written character that it is a good part of the group. It's made for there to be a good story, all this kind of stuff, nothing else. And so if this is just different than you expect, that's just how it is. Like I could talk about Final
Yeah.
Fantasy VII forever, but you've got Aerith and Tifa. You've got one who's this tough brawler, but is
Yeah.
like incredibly welcoming and encouraging and super just like gentle and kind with people. And yet she's the one who punches people in the face the whole game. And then
Yeah.
you've got Aerith, who's the healer, and you're gonna expect the healer to generally be like timid or reserved, and she's just like
Forward.
the whole game is just yeah, just oh man, it's hilarious. But they're
Oh,
both
that's
well
your
written
friend over
characters.
there. Let's just walk into the strip club.
Wait, what? What?
Go play Final Fantasy VII,
It's a
Brandon.
great
It's a
game,
good
Brandon.
I
time.
apparently need
It's
to.
an interesting time.
It's a great game.
Would you recommend playing the original or the remake first?
I'd
Play
recommend
the
the
original.
original
Yeah, play the
because the
original.
remake is it's I which I haven't played it, but from what I know, the way the kind of stories have been designed. The thing is, the remake is supposed to be a great entry point for someone to the franchise. As much as it is made for fans of the original game, it's also, if you've never played the original and you're new to the franchise and for action RPGs, it's a fine place to start. And you would play the remake, and then you would play the uh, other game called Crisis Core, and then you'd play the second part of the remake. That's how the devs are intending it to be played right now. Um,
Hmm.
but the remake is diverting from the original story in a few ways, and has some things in it that would probably be, as far as I understand, better understood and better enjoyed if you'd played the original first. Because the remake has kind of this, funny that you were talking about God of War, Scott, another PlayStation exclusive. The remake kind of has this theme of like defying fate.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the explanation for some of the changes is they're from the first game is they're defying fate a little bit. So stuff's a little different, but yeah,
Huh.
the original is wonderful. I love that game. I totally think
Any other?
that you'd probably like it, Brandon. But maybe you'd like the remake more. I don't know.
I think you
I'd
would like
probably
the
want to play the
original.
original. I'm
Yeah.
old, so I like old
Hmm.
things.
Um, any other least favorite tropes?
Oh, I
I'm
had
sure
one.
there's a lot.
I feel like these are
I'm sure
things we
there's a
can make
lot.
singular videos on, and we could just go down like a lit. We can make a list and make a whole video off of
Just go
why
through
don't we
these.
like these tropes or certain things. Yeah.
Oh, I don't like characters with no flaws.
Oh yeah,
Like
there you go.
personality. I
It's
hate that.
kind of close to what we were just
I
talking about.
Yeah, it's on the same lines. It kind of goes hand in hand with what Scott was talking about, where writers don't understand how to make a female character compelling, and so they just make them a Mary Sue, and it happens a lot in most media nowadays because people
Yeah.
just don't. I don't know if it's because they're scared of offending people, so they make like this overly like just super inclusive character that's can't do any wrong and is perfect in every way. I don't know why they do it, but it's just annoying. It really is just annoying to me. Give your character something to develop and grow into as time goes on. Otherwise,
Hey
you're just
people,
wasting everyone's time.
this is great information for people who want to make D&D characters too, like
Yes.
good ones.
Give
Character
Give
them
your
some
development.
characters
flaws.
flaws.
Yeah.
If your person has killed a dragon by the time you're 18 and you're level 1, your character sucks.
Hmm.
I'm going to outright say it. I'll be blunt.
I feel like that's a bit
Uh,
of a different uh, topic, but I get
well,
what you're getting at.
it's in the same line. It's in the same lane though.
Yeah.
Or if your character is like perfect all the time, is super intelligent, smart, and charismatic, and can never do any wrong, delete that character, make a new one, give him something that he's bad at.
Yeah. Flaws are
That's
fun.
my.
I like playing with
They are.
flaws. Flaws and
They are.
failure are a part of real life.
As much
Um,
as
that's
his
it.
character,
It's just a
as
part of
much
real
as
life.
I I had one that I was thinking of another storytelling thing I dislike, but I can't remember. Um, but I think a lot of my issues is I don't know that I necessarily have something that I dislike. I just think that it comes down to oftentimes the way it's executed. That there'll be something that it's like, man, this could have been great, but you didn't execute it very well.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think there's rarely a case where I have something that I completely can never get along with, because even if it's something I don't like 9 out of the 10 times I've seen it, if I've seen it work once, I'm like, okay, this can be really cool. But yeah, I can't think of anything right now. So let's yeah, jump into my topic. I want to talk about game franchises that have been totally mismanaged. Guys, we're pretty negative today. I don't know what happened.
Hey, I'm just saying
Um,
the most negative subject was funerals, and I made jokes about playing VeggieTales, so
Oddly,
I
that
kept it
was the most
positive.
wholesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Somehow, yeah. I don't
Um,
know how.
yeah, game franchises that you think have been mismanaged. It's
Oh
funny.
boy.
I thought this would be a good kind of topic to continue off where from mine in our last episode. Uh, but just real fast before I jump into this, I said in last episode I would love to see a tactical Star Wars RPG, a tactical
Oh yeah,
Star
you
Wars
heard about
RPG, and one just got announced today.
Yeah.
So it's happening, dude.
They're listening to you.
Tactical turn-based
They're
RPG.
listening.
Made by
Hire me.
by
I kid you
Respawn.
not.
Yeah.
I will give you so many ideas. That's all I'm good for. But I will give you so many ideas.
Yeah.
That's about all.
Nathaniel,
Can
you're
we
good
talk
for
about
so
this
much
real
more
quick?
than just ideas.
Yeah, I didn't see a trailer, but it's Respawn. They made the Jedi games.
Well, there's no trailer.
Okay. Okay.
On
But
the
it's
cover
tactical
image that they
turn-based.
showed, they had a Tognath Jedi, and the Tognath are the dude with the tubes from Rogue One.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, I saw a Jedi and a clone.
That's so
It's
cool.
during the Clone Wars. So.
Yep. And they have he looks like a clone. He has got like a fancy little, I think it's like a marking on his helmet, but he looked like he had a glowing eye. So it was like,
Okay.
is he a cyborg or something?
That'd be cool.
They had an Umbaran soldier,
I'm confused.
which is
but
interesting.
let's do it.
Yeah. And then who was the last one? There was a Mandalorian,
Okay.
and then an R2
Of
droid,
course. Dude,
or some kind of astromech.
I'm
I don't
playing
know if he
as
was
that.
R2
I'm playing
unit.
as the R2 unit.
Yeah, that was your first
Let's
character,
go.
buddy.
Absolutely. Love
It's,
R2.
RPG.
That's
That's
true.
so cool though. Like
Yeah, it's
it
cool.
gives. I wonder if it's gonna be like XCOM, but Star Wars.
Yeah, it's tactical
That
turn-based.
would be awesome.
So
Yeah.
it's
I would love that.
specifically designed in that
so wait, it's
in that way.
kind of like what I'm playing right now.
We don't know if it'll be a
Maybe.
dungeon crawler.
We've only been
but
given an image.
Yeah, we just know that it's being made. And is
Yeah,
clearly
Respawn.
doesn't-
a
Yeah,
little
as
bit
you said,
in development.
Respawn did the Jedi games. They also did
Mhm.
Titanfall.
I
Yeah.
didn't mean necessarily a dungeon crawler, Nate. I meant turn-based tactical
Yeah,
RPG.
yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Is Scott did is Jedi Survivor the end, or are they making a third one?
They're making another one.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I never finished Survivor.
I haven't played it either.
And why didn't you finish Survivor, if I may ask? Is it just you didn't get around to it?
At the time and at the place of my life, I could have cared less than to play video games. There were other things that I would rather be doing at the time. I have the time now, but
Like moving and getting married.
yeah.
And...
But I mean, I just started playing Final Fantasy last night, and then I've been playing Skyrim all last week too. So
Oh, dang.
That's
another
one
game
game
I'm
I
playing now.
can't get into.
You've gone all the way back in. Skyrim?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've tried so
I-
many times. I can't get into it.
I found out that my favorite race in the Elder Scrolls is the Argonian.
Those
Really?
the chat people.
Shocker.
They make
Lizards.
them and Khajiits make really good
Khajiits, those are the
assassins.
cat people.
Yeah. Khajiits are cool too, man. Hey, man. They're pretty
Dude.
neat.
For ages, my favorite build in that game used to be the stealth archer. Because of
course.
course they're amazing.
Sneak 100.
Yeah.
Dude, but I learned
JJ Meow.
one-handed daggers are so much more fun. Oh my goodness. You do a one-handed
Really?
stealth dagger build. Oh my goodness. It's amazing.
I'm doing like a full heavy armor, two-handed sword. That's the
Yeah,
build.
you are. I
Just
can
as an
tell.
Argonian. I hit the werewolf stuff. I did the companion quest line the other day. Whew. Good stuff.
What you should do
I'm a
is do
lizard
a...
that turns into a werewolf now.
Oh my goodness. One of the funnest
that's
builds
hilarious.
besides is just doing a straight up magic build, dude. They're cool.
I can't get behind it. I don't like playing. Nathaniel knows this. I don't like playing I have a hard time playing spellcasters in any kind of a game.
Yeah, me
Yeah, I
too,
know.
Actually.
We've talked
I made a
about this.
spellcaster for a D&D campaign, and then I give him a sword and a shield.
Oh, I love that. I can do it in D&D, and
You
I
did
can
it
do it
in
in like a
my
party
game.
game like Final Fantasy.
You
but in
literally played a
Dark
full
Souls or
caster druid
Skyrim.
in my game, and you're just
I'm
like,
not
all
about
right,
that.
and now I'm gonna run around with a giant stick and smack people.
Yeah.
It's like you do not scale with that, Scott.
I don't. And yet Druid is still one of my favorite classes ever.
Oh
I
man.
think you cast like 10 spells the entire in every
I
combat.
cast a few. Yeah, I cast a few spells.
Yeah, you cast
Anyway,
like 10.
so mismanaged game franchises.
Yeah,
Oh boy,
I
I could
have
say
one I
Sonic right off
immediately
the
think
bat.
of. Yeah, Sonic's one, and we can get to that. But the one I immediately think of is Halo.
Oh yeah.
Halo. Because here's the deal.
Modern
Here's the
Halo?
deal.
Oh
Halo
yeah.
could be as big and could have as many games output because of Microsoft and Xbox and the money they have, and Halo being like the main thing. Halo could be as big and have as many games output in as many genres as something like Mario or Final Fantasy. Now, the thing about Halo is that it's the fact that they work so long on a game and are so specific about the release makes each Halo game pretty special, right? And a lot of people wait for it, and it sells very well. There's no franchise fatigue or anything like that. But even as we've seen with Mario and Final Fantasy, there's a when a new mainline game in that series is released, when the newest 3D Mario game comes out, or the newest mainline new numbered Final Fantasy game comes out, everyone like fans of the franchise, they played it. They go and they play it. They find a way to play it. Even if they didn't play
Right.
the spin-off, even if they didn't play Mario Wonder, people are going to play Mario Odyssey 2 or whatever that ends up being called. Um, or whatever game ends up coming out next. It kind of seems like the new Donkey Kong game is similar to Mario Odyssey
It's gonna be so
engine
cool.
and graphic wise. But it's crazy that it took them they worked on Halo 4 for just a few years, and that is the best Halo game that's been made post Bungie. I mean, they worked on it for just a few years. They worked on it for like 2 years, just as long as all the other Halo games, and it was pretty good. And then the other ones, they've spent so long on them. They spent like 6 years working on Halo Infinite, and they had so many
It
development
was
issues. They
bad.
literally kept like shuffling out their staff. The way it would work is they would hire contractors for like 8 months or something, or maybe like 16 months to come in and work, and then those people wouldn't be hired anymore. They'd have to hire 150 new people to pick up where the last people left off because they wouldn't just get a
Wow.
set staff. It's literally like you need to downscale your team to make a better game. It's crazy. But I mean, even not talking about management and development issues and that kind of stuff, but simply just talking about like the possibilities. Like give me a we kind of have been talking about it a bunch. Give me a Halo, um, like XCOM slash Fire Emblem tactical RPG kind of game with Master Chief and the blue team. The blue team is his team from the books, his Spartan team.
Yeah.
Like that could literally just be a game. You want to make more Halo games? Get a small team, get a third party or something, or one of your people that you know, and just have them tell this story with the Master Chief and the blue team. You've got all this stuff. Or give me like an ODST roguelike, or
Ooh.
an ODST, uh what do you call it? Like Helldivers kind of game. I mean, you've got so many
Oh man,
That would be dope.
possibilities for
That would be
types
so
of games
cool.
you could make. Give
that
me a
would be
give me a,
brutal.
a single player like third person action focused game with the Arbiter. Just going
Oh
and
hey.
sorting people and like I bet you could design
Nathaniel,
it
why are
similar to
you
Space
not
Marine to space to
why
the
are you
Warhammer
not
Space
working
Marine.
for
I mean,
Microsoft right now?
there's literally um all these things you could do game wise. And then above all that, just I mean, listen to your fans when it comes to making the next Halo game. And it
Oof.
shouldn't take you 6 years to make this game that can be beat in like 12 hours. When before they could make a game that could be beat in like 15 and have all this multiplayer and all this replayability and all this polish that your new games don't have, and they made it in like a year and a half and pushed boundaries every time. And yet you're releasing Halo Infinite, which was not really that graphically impressive for its gen.
Oof.
Halo has been super mismanaged. Another one would be, I think would could also be Sonic. I'm curious to see what you have to say about that, Scott.
I just think that they've made a lot of bad Sonic games. and it seems like um, the Sonic games that have more of a story, like Sonic Adventure,
Hmm.
Adventure Two, it kind of felt like they had a story going on. And then you went to what after Sonic Adventure Two, which
Colors,
Heroes was
not
it Sonic
colors.
Hero?
Heroes, heroes. Yeah, which continued the
No, it was
story.
later. And then you had
Uh,
Shadow the Hedgehog,
which continued the story.
and it kind of felt like you were going on through a story, and then you had Sonic 06 come out,
A reboot.
and it was like, okay, where are we standing now?
Yeah.
This is different. And then you took all like they had a new design for Eggman. It was like clearly this was supposed to be big, and I know that it bombed, but it still makes me wonder why aren't we just going with the story again? And so now, ever since then, it's been okay. We're gonna have game after game after game, and they're all kind of singular stories that don't necessarily connect to each other at all.
Yeah, there's a
Um,
timeline like Colors, Lost
it just
World,
feels a little
Generations,
off, a
Forces,
little weird.
Frontiers, like, but they're not necessarily connected. We just know they are taking place after one another, but there's no tie-in
Yeah,
besides just a little joke thrown out by Sonic here and there referencing something.
and then you have some spin-offs like Sonic Riders or
Hmm.
the storybook games, where it's like, oh, okay, we have a bit of a story going on now,
Yeah,
How
and
would you
then
feel about the idea of
they don't.
Sonic? They release a Sonic game, and it's just like, oh yeah, Sonic is an interdimensional traveler, and he's just been going across his multiverse, just being a nuisance
They
that
made
wouldn't
that
to
that
TV
Eggman.
that
show.
that wouldn't make really any sense, I guess, because they
That
have a
was a
Sonic
Netflix
timeline.
series.
They do have a Sonic timeline
No,
Yeah,
that Sega
it
came
was
out
just
with
an idea to
a
fix
few
all the
months ago or
fragmentation
something.
you're talking about.
There's a pretty
I think it's
solid
it's less frag.
set of
Go for it,
lore.
Nate.
There's like they the timeline Sega made has is actually makes a lot of sense, and it covers every game and
Oh, okay.
does make does make a good amount of sense.
Yeah.
But it makes more sense than Zelda. But
Well, then
my
ignore
goodness, the
everything I
Zelda
just said.
timeline. But
Okay.
still, there's been the thing is that Sonic struggled with to transition to 3D, which Mario did not necessarily struggle. And neither did Zelda. I think the thing about Sonic is it's figuring out it's the identity of the games. It's what do people like about this? Is it the feeling of going fast? Is it the platforming? Is it the spectacle? Is it the characters? Is it the music? And there's some things they totally nailed. They got the 90s cool vibe in there. They've got the hype rock music. They've got the Sonic trying to be edgy, like where Mario is not, trying to kind of be the opposite of Mario in some senses. Um, and and they've got kind of that arcade timed level kind of thing going on where Mario's open world and exploration or big open, like you've got this zone that you stay in most of the time with 3D. So uh and they really I think started reasonably strong with Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. I think those games lack polish, but that makes sense considering Sonic Adventure 1 was made in like 8 months where they made Mario 64 in like 3 years. They for real
Mario
just
64 is
just
so good.
spit Sonic Adventure out. So, but it was pretty good, and I think Sonic Adventure 2 is pretty good, and I think Sonic Heroes was pretty good. And what do I mean when I say pretty good? Is I think when you're playing as Sonic the Hedgehog, those games are fun. I think it's the other stuff that is
I'm
not
starting to
as
think
good.
you just have an issue with side characters.
And well, Sonic Heroes lets you play as the.
All the
I think Sonic
characters.
Heroes is the best, might be the best 3D Sonic game. Honestly, because I don't remember nearly anything about Team Rose or Team Chaotic, so I could be totally wrong here. But when you were playing as the speed character, it was really fun. And when
Mhm.
and the like the worst play character to play as was always the flight character, just because it wasn't as maybe seamless as it could be. It wasn't as quick to switch and just fly for a second as it could be, but that was still cool. And then the brawling would just be, oh, I gotta punch this thing. Let's keep running. Um, so and they kind of really balanced the platforming and the spectacle really well. Uh, I think people just didn't like how many characters there were in the switching between teams thing, which is why it might have and I think it was also glitchy, which is why it didn't get super well received. But compared to um, Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, you've got that very focused gameplay where in Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 you're switching between well, I'm a treasure hunter. It's a mech. I'm I've got a hammer. Like it's just crazy stuff. I don't know. I think Sonic's problem is that they've they've learned the wrong lessons from their games. I mean, their music is always good. Their visuals are usually pretty okay. The stories are fine. I mean, there's more execution than there would be from something like Mario. Um, the characters are interesting and likable, but it's the gameplay
Ooh.
that they just change up. Sonic '06 was super glitchy and had a horrible story, but the gameplay was would have been really good. There was a lot of promise there, even though it was unfinished, and yet they totally pivoted from that with the next game, rather than going,
All I
hey,
can think of right
let's
now.
actually just not release, not rush out all of our games. That's just what they've done so much, man. Sonic Team, I don't know if it's Sega's fault or Sonic Team's fault, but they just keep so many of Sonic's issues post Three and Knuckles since the 3D era has been them just releasing these games too early and having too unrealistic deadlines or not giving the project the money it needs to grow. Like it's Sonic could be huge, and he's super popular, but his games are just mid.
Sounds like another game
Yeah,
franchise I know.
there's a lot of game franchises right now like that.
Brandon, you want to talk about Fallout?
Ugh. So, I'm not the biggest of Fallout fans. Don't let me lie to you if I say I am. I'm not. But for reference, my first Fallout game was Fallout 4. So the Fallout community generally agrees. Fallout 3 was okay. It was good. But Fallout New Vegas has by far the best story and is just generally considered the best. If you don't consider Fallout New Vegas the best, Fallout 4 is the best. Generally speaking, it depends on when you first started playing the series. All that being said, um Fallout 76, if you want a much better synopsis than I can give you of Fallout 76 and its mismanagement, just look up the internet historian's retelling of the fall of 76. It is an
Yeah.
amazing recall of the entire event. But Bethesda dropped the ball so unbelievably hard that as someone who put literally like 600 hours into Fallout 4, I pre-purchased Fallout 76. I was excited for it. I was hyped. I was there, right? I played it for 2 hours in opening week and didn't launch it again for 9 months.
It had the
It
potential to
was
be very great.
it was so bad. It was literally unplayable. When I say unplayable, I mean like I couldn't like you couldn't move properly without your game breaking. I think initially one of the big things they did is they attached your frame rate to your character's movement speed. So you could stare at the floor, turn your graphics to 0, and then move like Sonic the Hedgehog. Haha, see what I did there? And
That's
stuff like that.
crazy.
It was, in recent memory, probably the most poorly managed game I've ever seen. Other than that, the dev team at World of Warcraft, it's not entirely the dev's fault, but it was during, I believe, Cataclysm. They were bought out, or maybe it was near the end of Wrath of the Lich King. They were bought out by Activision, and Activision just started adding microtransactions and putting their finger on the scale and making decisions, and the game just went downhill ever since then. To the point where I refuse to play the modern version of the game. I just refuse. It's absolutely terrible. Those are my two that I would point out. World of
Yeah.
Warcraft and Fallout. Thank you, Scott, for giving me a
Um,
freebie.
Nathaniel, how would you define being mismanaged?
Um, I think it's pretty subjective. I think what you're saying is that I guess the way I would define mismanaged is if I was in charge, I would have done it different. So
Okay,
start like when I say
got it.
franchises, I'm not just talking about games. Like I would say, in my opinion, Star Wars has been mismanaged since Disney bought it.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
That's not to say I don't like anything they've made. Rogue One and Episode 7 are incredible movies. I think Solo's pretty good. Uh, 8 has
I'm trying to
some
think.
redeemable
Okay.
qualities. Some.
If that's the
Uh,
criteria,
but yeah, if we're saying I would have done it different, and it's at the place where like some stuff has been not super successful, then I'd say that's mismanaged. Like Mega Man was maybe
yeah. Mega
mismanaged.
Man's
I think
huge.
Mega Man's never been huge. Like Mega Man's never made a ton of money, or well, Mega Man's made money, but they've never like sold a bunch of games. It's crazy that I think. Oh man, I'm gonna pull it up. Monster Hunter Wilds. Monster Hunter is owned by Capcom. So is Mega Man, right?
Yeah.
Monster Hunter Wilds
Uh-huh.
came out, and in 3 days, uh, sold. Here's a tweet I posted when Monster Hunter Wilds came out. It's crazy that Monster Hunter Wilds has already sold 8 million copies in 3 days, and yet Mega Man 11, the best-selling Mega Man game ever, has only had 2 million sales since its release in 2018. Mega Man 2 is the second
wow,
best-selling at 1.5 million. Mega Man is probably
that is
known by
actually
most
crazy.
gamers and has had plenty of cultural impact, but it's seemingly pretty niche as far as classic franchises are concerned. I was looking for sales information on the Mega Man Zero/ZX games, and I was shocked to learn that between all their original releases, the Zero Collection on DS and then the Zero/ZX Legacy Collection, they've probably altogether only sold about a million units. I love Mega Man,
That's
but
crazy.
yeah, I love Mega Man, and Mega Man is probably known just like Pac-Man is and Mario and Sonic is. Yet we're looking at the whole franchise is probably only sold 15 million games between 15 million units between like 30 games.
Yeah.
And I
That is
really think
crazy.
what it is that what they did on the NES was fine with the classic Mega Man franchise, but when it comes to what was going on with the X games, I think Mega Man's problem is that it worked super well on the NES as a difficult but short game with a lot of replayability. And I think Mega Man didn't stray from that. I think Mega Man needed to stray from that and go. We're actually going to make our games a little longer. We're not going to make them in 1 year. You know, it's not going to be a Mega Man game every year. We're actually going to take some time with this one. We're going to try to actually innovate. And they didn't. And now it's kind of just been dead for however long. So
It's
That
kind of
is a
like
mismanaged.
very.
Castlevania, where it's been reduced to only having crossovers.
Yeah.
It's in crossover hell.
Oof. Oof.
But I'd play
That's
Like
too
X9.
rough.
Castlevania,
I would, dude.
Castlevania is one I would bring up
Hmm.
because they haven't. I don't know how many ever since Lords of Shadows, Lords
That
of
was a 3D
that whole
game, right?
series.
No, those are DS
Kind of
games.
2.5D. One of them there was a DS game, and then there was two of them on consoles like
Okay.
Xbox
Okay.
360. Um, Ever since that came out, I don't think they've had like a mainline release. And Castlevania is a cool idea. I mean, it's like Van Helsing almost. It's almost like Bloodborne in a way. Like
Hmm.
Bloodborne would have passed as a Castlevania game if they just changed a few things.
Yeah.
It would have worked. Um,
Oh.
but we haven't seen any things like that. I mean, I guess the same thing with Pac-Man too. The Pac-Man World games were cool on the old consoles.
Yeah. For sure.
Pac-Man 1, 2, and 3. Oh my gosh, those were so cool. And
Great
then they just
games.
remade the first one,
Hmm.
but
All right.
we haven't seen anything else from that series, that
All
franchise.
right. I'm gonna make more waves. Here's another hill to die on. Are you ready? I think from not maybe not from software, but whoever is responsible, maybe Sony, I can't remember who, for not releasing Bloodborne to
That's Sony.
anything other than PlayStation is mismanaging it.
That's Sony.
Think about
Yeah,
how
to
much
the
more
point.
money they could have made.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Now they have a new one coming out.
It's crazy because
I
Bloodborne
think
is
it's.
so critically received and is a huge moneymaker. I don't know
I
why.
don't doubt
And they
that it's
just
going to
refused
happen
to
one
release
day.
it.
I'm sure
Yeah,
that
one in
whether
like
they remake
97.
Bloodborne or if they put it on PC, I think it'll be great when it does. But I feel like by the time that they do it, everybody's going to be like, "Oh, okay."
I don't even want
Like,
them to
is there going to
remake
be
it.
any
Just
hype behind it?
release it. Like,
I really
I
don't
think
think
so.
so.
Well, think about it this way: there's still hype behind when Half-Life 3 comes out. And although yes, that's a large
Is it
chunk of a
actual
meme,
hype or is it all just a meme?
100% I guarantee you, if Valve said tomorrow we're releasing Half-Life 3, the entire internet would explode.
The difference is that
Wow.
Half-Life 3
Get on it, Valve.
is not already been released. That's the thing, is a lot of people that really want to play Bloodborne either said, "Well, I'm never going to get to play it," and they moved on to Elden Ring and Sekiro and they're plenty happy, or they went ahead and eventually bought a PlayStation and played Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Unless you're
Or
me, I
just had
still
it
haven't.
ported onto the
Yeah.
PC through illegal means.
Yeah, or they got PS whatever it's called, the PS Now,
Emulator.
and played it on their PC, because you can do that. You can get PS Now on
Oh,
computer.
you can do that?
So yeah, and play
I didn't know
Bloodborne on
that.
computer. That is possible.
Wow.
It's just gonna be
What? That's
stream.
probably a
It's just gonna be
massive pain in the
streams
butt
kind
to
of thing.
do.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
What are
just wanna
some of
play
your
Bloodborne.
guys' mismanaged franchises?
Oh
I
boy.
just said them. Didn't I?
Is
am I
there any
crazy?
more that
You
you
did.
have than just
Oh,
I don't know if I
I'm
would say
sure
just,
there's
mismanaged.
just
more.
games, or are there movies or?
Overwatch. Overwatch 2. They
Oh.
dropped the ball hard with that. Overwatch 1 was one of the most played games of all time when it was in its heyday. And then Overwatch 2 was announced. They released it, and it had no content. They didn't change anything. Hardly at all.
It was a skin, essentially.
Yeah.
It was fresh
It's kind of
paint.
like what they did. It's kind of like what they did with CS2. The difference is Counter-Strike is a better mechanically. It's mechanically a better game, so it could survive being transferred to a new engine. Whereas Overwatch, there's a lot of glitz and glamour, but the mechanics are not as tight as games in its field. So
I
it
feel
kind of,
like that's kind of the same thing they're trying to do with Smite 2.
yeah.
Is eventually it's going to replace Smite 1.
Yeah, that's
But
the
it
thing
feels
now.
more like it's just fresh paint.
I think it's the
Okay.
new trend. I think that's the new big trend in the gaming industry is just
I guess.
replacing your old IP with your new version.
It kind
Which
of
I
feels
hate
like nobody
because-
wants to take any chances on anything
Dude,
new.
Well,
That
it
is
bothers me
exactly
because
what's
I
going
just
on
want to
right
play
now.
the old version sometimes. Like I love CS2. I'll play it, but sometimes it would be cool to be able to go back and be like, I want to play a competitive match of CS:GO. Can't do it.
This
But
will
that
be
seems to be the trend.
this will be part of my topic next week, so a little sneak peek. But nobody wants to take any risks in the gaming industry right now, and everybody is losing money,
Well, except for FromSoft.
except for
And
FromSoft
Larian.
and Larian.
FromSoft and Larian Studios,
But
man,
there's a
they're
reason why.
killing
But there's
it.
a reason why, and I will get to that.
I think Larian had nothing to lose, so they just sent it.
I think they had everything to lose, but they knew
Did
it
they?
would work. They were a small company. And then they were able to do Baldur's Gate 3.
And they got
And
it was the game of the
They
year.
gave it all
too.
the love. They did it all right. They're releasing another patch this week, next week. It's gonna be the last patch and adds like a bucket of content for free.
I haven't played the newest update, Scott. Have you?
The one that hasn't come out yet.
No, the one with all the adds modding.
Oh, yeah, I started a run on it. It's cool. It just has
Okay.
mods.
That's it.
Yeah, but the next update that's coming out adds I think like 12 subclasses.
Oh my
Oh
goodness.
yeah.
It's like 12 subclasses. I think it puts an ending in there. There's a couple extra things. it's got crossplay.
Oh, like
Yeah.
cross-platform?
Uh-huh. Um, yeah, but that's hard because I guess when I think about things I would have done better, I do feel with for you, Nate, with Halo, because I feel like Destiny and Halo. I don't know. I feel like making a game like Destiny, but in the Halo franchise, wouldn't have been that hard.
Would have been so good, and they're so similar
Yeah,
too. It's literally
yeah.
like they can both of them can be the knockoff of one another. Honestly,
I don't know. I would have combined those.
Actually,
I think
maybe
that
I'm
they would have
wrong, but
been kind of cool
I don't
together.
think Destiny and I don't think Halo could do Destiny. Not the same
Really?
style. No.
Hmm?
Because the thing about Destiny is the Guardians, the lore behind it is why they can do all the stuff they can do.
Right.
I can't see Master Chief pulling off any of the feats of strength. As awesome as he is.
Sure.
Like I would be playing it and I wouldn't be able to believe what my Spartan was doing
Yeah.
the
but
whole
you
So
time.
just
I will say I
explain
do
it in
like
other
Destiny.
ways, like jetpacks, and I mean the
Yeah,
thing is you can
but
obviously
Yeah.
mechanically it'd be slightly different, but you could stretch some stuff. You could make a Halo game that is that kind of MMO thing that
and
Destiny
that's
is.
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm not saying get rid of
Yeah.
Destiny altogether. I'm just saying the fact that Bungie made Destiny and they were responsible for a lot of the Halo stuff. Um, sorry, I got distracted by phone ring and my cat's in the way. Hi Sue. I feel it's strange that they didn't try to do that with Halo. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do I say this?
I will say I've always really
Destiny's
enjoyed
style, its game style, its whole, what do you call that? A genre?
yeah,
It's kind of like an MMO, but
basically,
it's
yeah.
yeah,
it's like
it's an MMO.
not. Um, I don't know. I think a lot of people could have jumped on that. It would have been really cool with a lot of different settings.
Absolutely. And you gotta wonder, is that what they would have done if they hadn't had their problems with Microsoft and all that? Like,
Ugh.
is that what they would have wanted to do? Is make that a Halo game instead? But I don't know.
Need to make me sad.
I think there's a
Um,
lot of the more I think about it, I think there's a lot of franchises that are even super successful that have had at least one
I think
big case of mismanagement.
the Elder
can
Scrolls,
I
man.
throw out a thought process? Oh, Elder Scrolls Online, right there. Huge mismanagement. That's probably their main mismanagement. Is Elder Scrolls Online just isn't as good as it used to be. MMOs are also just a dying genre, so I don't know how much of that you can blame on them and how much you can blame on just the players are kind of sick of MMOs.
Yeah, the MMO genre seems to be dying.
The one
Just
that's doing the
unfortunately.
best is Final Fantasy
Unless you have,
14, but they've even
aside from the greats,
struggled with. They're even struggling now because of the
we
mixed reception of their last expansion.
I think players are getting too fussy, you know?
yeah,
Like players are being really, really fussy. The gaming community is man, another hot take. I think the gaming community has never been more toxic. Just in general. Not any game specifically, but just as a whole.
yeah.
I don't think the gaming community has ever been this toxic before.
I agree with you, but also think about I don't think the state of gaming has ever been like really any worse. Like there's all these microtransactions filling all these games. We're getting all these games as a service stuff. We're nothing games as a service, or we're getting these huge bloated open world games that are released half finished and are slowly completed through updates over the next year. We're getting expensive DLC that lasts just a few hours. We're getting main content that should be in the game made as DLC so that way it can be people can make more money. We're getting these huge graphically intensive games that cost all this money that might be like really short. We're getting I mean it's crazy the the state of gaming right
Yeah.
now. The best stuff there is to play is like remakes and remasters of old games that didn't have those problems. First party
But
Nintendo,
does
which
that?
is always going to be excellent, or you're getting like
Oh.
or you're talking about indie games or double A games, which it's made by a
Well,
small
then can I
studio
pose?
over the course of years. It's not too expensive, and it's literally like
This
this
is
really well made game that you can just spend hours playing.
Can I
we're
pose an
definitely
idea to
going to
you
have
though?
fun talking about this next time.
I
Yes.
think gamers are just spoiled. That's my subject for next week. How gamers are spoiled. Because you say all of this like our parents playing the modern games we're playing now wouldn't be absolutely mind blown,
Yeah.
right? Like, let's be realistic for a minute. I'm gonna totally counter you on that. This is by no means the worst gaming has ever been. People who say that are being dramatic.
That might be a little hyperbolic of me. Yeah. But
Absolutely.
I'm just talking about the state of the industry. I mean, it's not the Atari crash, right? That Nintendo came in and saved the day. Like it's not that bad. There still is a lot of good stuff happening in the future. And actually, I think gaming is really
Yeah.
I honestly think positively, which I'll talk about next week, is starting to fix itself right now. But
Yeah.
but I would say that if all the games I want to play that I'm really excited about playing that I really like lately are they're all old, man. I'm going back and playing all these old PS1 and PS2 games and SNES games and all this stuff, and it's just awesome.
But is
There,
it possible that that's just a byproduct of you getting older as well? And so your taste in video games changes? Like maybe you just don't care about the bright, flashy new thing. Maybe you just want to play something good that's proven.
that's exactly it though, and it's not the fact that it's proven; it's the fact that it's good. And the what was important to them when they were developing that game is different from what's important to them now when they're developing this different game.
This is gonna be really interesting. All right,
This
we
will be
should stop
interesting.
because we're just gonna start talking about it right
We're just
now.
gonna talk for another 2 hours, and
All right, ladies and
that
gentlemen,
won't work.
buckle up.
That won't work.
All
We've
right.
got lives.
Well, folks, that was fun.
Yeah, this is a great episode of the podcast. That was good. I'm gonna toot my own horn right now, just because I can. Toot toot
Toot, Brandon.
toot toot.
Yeah, I'm excited for next episode. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
I can see
So
Nathaniel
we
just
know.
sitting there with all these thoughts in his head that he needs to get them out, and he's kind
Ah.
of bummed that we can't go another 2 hours.
I do this. I used to do this to Nathaniel at church all the time. We'd start a deep conversation right before youth, and then it'd be like, "Youth starts in 10 minutes," and Nate would be like, "Ah."
Yeah. That's the thing is I am not completely subscribed to any one way of thinking when it comes to this specific subject. I just have some thoughts that I am very excited to discuss with you too. So, we'll
I
see.
am completely subscribed to this singular way of thinking, and you can't change my mind ever.
That's okay.
It's against
We
the
can
rules.
still
I
be
will never
friends.
change my mind. It's not gonna happen. In
You don't need to
fact,
change your mind if you're right.
that's right. I'm never wrong. That's correct. Thank you. Isn't that right, Scott?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Except for
Alright,
when
folks.
I am wrong, and then Scott yells at me, and then I behave.
I don't yell at you too often, Brandon.
But when you
I don't
do,
know
I
that
listen.
I've ever. I don't know that I've really.
Uh,
I'm sure I've heard you yell.
Actually,
before,
have
Scott,
you ever had
but
to yell at me? Genuinely? For being a
Scott-
jerk?
Scott
not
doesn't
genuinely,
yell.
I don't think. No. All right then. I have to go make dinner.
All right.
Have a good night,
It's 8
Scott.
o'clock.
Thanks for this was fun. I love you guys. It was fun talking.
My closing comment.
Okay.
Go listen to Pink Floyd's Echoes, everybody. It's a trip.
You said it was
I'm
22
gonna point out-
minutes?
Can I point something out?
Yes.
This is how
Oh
our
my goodness.
conversations on that old broken couch used to go. Someone would say,
Yeah.
I got one more thing, and then 4
And
hours
we go
later.
another like 4 hours. Yeah.
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 So be careful
Alright.
with that sentence. That's a dangerous
cutting it.
sentence.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
put it in the group chat, and you guys can listen to it.
You all have a good day. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.